Brexit, an American perspective. So, watching Brexit and the lead up to that vote for Britain to leave the European Union, no one has discussed all the organizations that sold Brexit to the English are the same ones that messed with our elections in the United States. These were U.S. interests, U.S. companies that very much, media companies that very much enabled this conversation about leaving the EU and how bad the EU was for everything. What the European Union is civilization building. It's the same as the United States. It is states uniting for a greater good, because individual states fall by themselves. And that's what the EU realized long ago, that working together was better than a divide and conquer strategy. So as Brexit went ahead, I watched all the conversations about it, but in the background of all of this is pollution, industrial pollution. I specifically watched the nuclear game, but this is true of all chemical, all mining interests. This is how they do work on the globe we live on. It's their business to go harvest minerals somewhere and make money doing it. So, watching this game, in the background of all of this, the EU has the toughest environmental rules of any nation set we can identify. They have the most sophisticated institutions helping to guide their decision processes as a whole, as a union of people together, trying to keep their nations together, their states together. They keep their language. They have kept all those states with all those disparate languages together to some degree. The neighbors on the borders sell food and talk to each other. They pass pretty well freely. One of our revered presidents took a wall down, or helped take a wall. He didn't do that shit. He was just in the right place at the right time. He took advantage of decades of politics. So it's just how this works. So Brexit, to me, was the largest polluting industries on the planet not wanting to be responsible for the cost of their goods. The cost of a strip mine you can see from space. Moving ores around by the teratons, moving mountains underground. We don't even see what's going on underground. It's tough to find the maps, but they're there. So this is who it seems we're battling. People that seek profit from polluting others' lives. This is a common media perspective. They present a third of the story. It's history written by others. So if you don't know history, it gets complicated. So, to me, the push to leave the EU was the nuclear industry, the largest single industry on the planet, because it is commercial and weapons material. There is no separation in these sciences. It doesn't just stop and hand over to, oh, the good guys have this and the bad. This is global science, global understanding of the common things to our world that make the world grow and go, that civilization's built on, that if you shut down, every civilization on the planet would begin to crumble and suffer for it. So these are the people, these are the dozen corporations that sit at the top of a food chain that's written in laws, that is a purely human construct with with a whole lot of faith. A whole lot of faith and understanding. So Brexit to me was a mining nuclear industry scam to divide and conquer a very well-informed and well-structured nation. That's what the EU is. It is a nation right next to America, right next to Canada, right next to Russia, right next to the Middle East. Isn't a nation. You can sure as hell divide and conquer. Remember this. You can divide with faith. You can divide with education. You can divide with benefits. One side of town gets the hospitals, the other doesn't get the hospitals. You want the hospitals, you might have to have the church that brought the hospitals. The tax deductions that brought the church, that brought the hospital, that people made. So these are, to me, the politics of our planet. This is where it is. This is not about states' rights. A state by itself does not have a right to give cancer to 10% of the population in a neighboring state. The Ohio school is one example. Okay, in Ohio, for the federal government to get involved in that school, you'll notice they sent the samples off in 3 directions. They sent one to the state, they sent one to a local, and then they sent one part of that sample to a national lab. So, guess what? In order for a national lab to become involved, one of those protective action guidelines was signed and followed. The Protective Action Guidelines releases federal resources and assets to go do research nobody can match unless they have money. Period. So our federal institution is responsible for telling us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And what you're seeing is actually a truthful cover-up. There is no such thing as a single point of dispersion. It just does not work like that. Wherever that dust came from fell and precipitated across a large area. That is a plume map. That is a supercomputer artifact that us, the us's of the worlds, use. Those are tools we turn on if we can get near them, near the billions of dollars of knowledge that goes into turning those tools on. So this is the level of animus the nuclear industry has towards us. They want to defile science. They want to keep these secrets and mystical and magical and woo, and it's not woo. It has not been woo.